live. There it is, everybody. Let me take the QR code off there for 1 second. That is the Mavic 3, the DJI Mavic 3. Everybody has kind of been talking about this drone, this very drone, for it seems like a year, right? I mean,
It seems like it, yeah.
yeah, it has been constant just speculation on what the drone is going to be,
Right.
what the specs are going to be. But before we get into all that, we should probably tell you who we are. So I'm David Plummer.
Michael Ferguson.
We own a company called Aerial Influence. We focus mostly on drones for like search and rescue, agriculture, construction, engineering, you name it. Somebody out there in that business can think of a way to use a drone to either save you money or save you time. So that's what we do. That's who we are. But what do we have here? We called it an unboxing video. There really wasn't much of an unboxing.
It was a small box.
Small little box. This is the standard version of the drone itself. So it comes with that remote controller that is very similar to the one for the DJI Mini 2 or the Air 2S. Doesn't come with a smart controller. That's a big bummer. You really have to spend the $5,000 on the cinema package to get a smart controller with it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a cool drone. I wish I really like the smart controller. You know,
I know that's the big bummer, and you can't use your old smart controller to work with the Mavic 3. So that is a bummer because those were really, the smart controllers are expensive. Those are not,
they are.
Those. So if somebody went out and invested in that, that's.
And I feel like I was reading something where it was saying OcuSync 3.0, but I feel like something else is using OcuSync 2.0. I don't know. I have to read a little bit more on it, but they are touting OcuSync 3.0 for what, 15 kilometers?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a long one. So, hey, Chris the boy, I'm sorry we're not moving fast enough for you. You know, Chris, he says, I don't mean to be mean, but can you get on with the unboxing? He doesn't like us. He doesn't like us talking. So, you know what, Chris, go check out iChristine or iCarly or whatever. She does an unboxing, or you'll be able to keep up with that.
We already unboxed it.
It's already unboxed.
We probably have the first video on mapping with the Mavic 3.
So you got to explain that though, because it's not really compatible with much mapping software yet, right?
Yeah, well, so there's no so like Drone Deploy, Pix4D, any of those mappers that you would use their app to acquire the images, that is not available yet. So, you know, obviously the DJI has to open up their SDK for those companies, and then it opens up, and then you can do that. What we did, what I did is I took it out and I actually flew it manually. So, and it actually turned out pretty good. Yeah. Although the DJI Terra, I do think there's something.
We can show it to him real quick, right?
We can. I didn't know if we were ready for it.
Oh, I'm ready. All right. So this is essentially the map that Michael just made. We've only had the drone for 3 hours, by the way, folks.
Right.
so
if
I had very little time to really mess with it.
And I'm not really going to be able to move it around too much, because as soon as I move it around, here, I'll show you.
It sort of blacks out on it. It moves over.
Yeah, I can't. So then I have to basically come back and come here.
But you were able to do this not using software, just by going out and manually taking pictures with the drone.
So yeah, you use two different software. You use something to acquire the pictures. That's what's not available.
Right.
Now, anything with any picture that has a GPS tag, can essentially be stitched. So that's what I did. So we can actually kind of drill down in here. It looks pretty good though.
Yeah, it actually doesn't look horrible, and there are a lot of.
Again, this was manual. This is just 96 pictures of me trying to say, okay, I'm getting it from north, south, east, west, overhead, that kind of thing. It looks pretty good.
Chris, the Mavic 3, I believe that was $21.99 for the basic package. If you're wanting the bigger package, the Fly More package with extra batteries, etc., you're talking about $3,000. And if you want the cinema package, which there are very few people that need the cinema package, but it's around $5,000. It records in
5 or 7.
It's 5. It's
5.
Yeah,
okay.
It's $49.99. Okay. Yeah, there were rumors it was going to be more, but yeah, it's $5,000. So still expensive. You compare that to like Inspire 2, and I kind of wonder,
Yeah, you get the Micro Four Thirds like right away, versus something that's going to be you have to buy extra gimbals and cameras for.
So what are we looking at here?
So this is a point cloud, and we're also using it in the elevation mode. So basically, off to the left here is going to be the highest structure. Anything in red, the lowest point in the map is going to be dark blue. But so this is the point cloud, and then you can toggle back and forth between just color point cloud. But it turned out pretty good for 96 pictures. And basically, I was just going kind of in a circular pattern, and then did a couple nadir shots.
Pictures,
that's 90 degrees down.
So let me catch up on a couple comments here. Kenosha, she says it's amazing. Kenosha, you're amazing. We love you. Chris the boy, who originally I thought was going to be one of our adversaries, has actually he's turned it around here, and he is now. He wants to know or he told us, first of all, he's subbed, so he's now a subscriber.
Oh, nice.
So that's great. Nice. He also wants to know how much it burned a hole in our wallet. I already answered that question. Travis Gunther, he wants to know, how can I order one of these from you? Well, look up on the screen right now, Travis, and you're going to see right there how to reach out to us and buy one. Yeah. Now, you should know, though, typically we don't, I'm going to cut away from this. Typically, we don't work with the consumer drones, like the stuff that you can buy at Best Buy, which this drone is. But we wanted to talk about it because this is really this is a huge deal. The Mavic 2 Pro was such a revolutionary drone. So many people were attracted to it, and so many people are using it for all sorts of different things, whether it's for work purposes or just to go out and take some pictures or videos.
Right. So
this Mavic 3 coming out is a huge deal, and so that's basically the reason we really wanted to cover it. And what we're going to delve into over the next month or so is going to be, what can it do for work purposes.
Right.
So we're going to figure out, as soon as these different the software comes out and starts supporting it, we're going to see how it does with mapping. Yeah. Now,
and I think it'll do pretty decently.
Yeah.
Now, when I go and check, the RMSE, that's the root mean square error. So that's basically how precise it's being. Right now, it looks like it's imprecise. I mean, the model looks good, but that's where you're getting the RTK really brings that down.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, because this isn't usually, we talk about this stuff for agriculture drones, but RTK is like GPS on steroids. Essentially, it's gonna help the drone stay steady, stay where it needs to be, and
real-time kinematics.
Yes, it is real-time kinematics. So that's something we like to answer for people, just because we didn't know what it was when we first got into all of this. So, but do you want to pick up the drone?
Sure.
Let's show them sort of and you guys have probably seen all this stuff. If you're interested in these drones, there are now 800,000 videos out there with it.
I'll show you a little thing, because Dave was telling me that they're going to start using, this is probably what the ND filters and stuff are going to be.
Yeah.
So this little piece comes right off. So I think you'll be able to, and it actually goes in there real nice and easy.
You're going to need to pull it up closer to the...
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. So there you go. Now it's...
And actually it has an auto gimbal lock.
Yeah.
There we go. So here, let me put that back on. Actually, I'll leave it off for now. We'll show you the underside. We've got quite a few sensors again.
A lot of sensors.
And you've probably already seen this, but this is where the battery comes out.
Yeah, and it is, it's funny because all these different, you got to hold it right up in front of the camera.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
You see all this stuff, and this is, the way this battery works is very similar to
SD card.
The way other drones work on the market. So that's interesting, because really these companies sort of steal from each other a little bit. Not steal, but
I think they get design ideas.
They build upon it. So this one now has a 45-minute flight time, which is a really great flight time, actually.
Yeah, it's 45, 46 minutes going at a certain speed and no wind, but it's 40 minutes hover time, because that actually burns up more battery hovering. So I guess if you think about how you fly, you're not constantly doing the sticks. I mean, you're kind of circling around. You might pop it up, and then you'll mess with the gimbal a little bit.
Right.
So I think you're looking at more like 40 minutes.
Yeah, and that's and
at
I
the
think
top end.
that they're always flying it in perfect conditions.
Right. Yeah.
But who is this? So who is this drone for? This drone, I think, is for people very serious actually about their photography.
Yeah.
If you're a first-time drone pilot and you're just kind of having some fun, I wouldn't spend the $21.99 on the Mavic 2 Pro. I mean, I would probably go with a Mavic 3. I'd probably go with the Mavic 2 because the prices and that is going to be coming down, and that has great imagery as well. You could go with something like the Air 2S, which is a lot cheaper than this one. You're looking at more than $1,000 price difference.
And I mean, if you're going to get just one drone and you've got some money to spend, then maybe. But I think this is definitely going to start popping up where there's going to be more features that kind of come trickling in, and I mean, there's so many things can be unlocked with firmware too.
Yeah.
And one thing they're talking about is that did you already say this? The active track is supposed to be pretty.
They're saying it's very, very similar to another drone company. Again, these guys steal off of each other,
right.
But yeah, it seems like all of the features that they've upgraded are essentially to match some of their competitors. That's just my guess. That's
what it seems like.
Yeah.
And I also read too where you could be flying this basically laterally, backwards, forwards, and it's still supposed to sense those obstacles.
Right.
Just
which
as well.
like the Mavic 2 doesn't do. We actually had a customer come in the other day. I don't think you were here, and he said he made the mistake of going full force backwards to show somebody how the sensors work. Didn't stop. So he said it was a really close call. So yeah, those backward sensors on the older drones don't work, but on the new one they definitely do. Is this drone, is it worth it? Do you think at $5,000 the cinema version? And yes, we do, Chris, we do sell the cinema version. We sell all of these
Is it? I feel like sometimes we get a little bit
jaded.
And I don't know if jaded is a word, but we play with a lot of this stuff, and it depends what you're into. I mean, if you're doing something with cinema and you need that raw stuff, and you need ProRes 5.2K.
If you don't know what ProRes is,
then you probably don't need it.
You don't need it. You don't need the cinema version, because that is one of the main things on it. The image that it supplies should be the same on all three of the versions of this drone. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And now the bigger question is, okay, I got two questions here. One, what are they going to do? Is there going to be a Mavic 3 Enterprise Advanced? Now, I know you don't know the answer to that, but that would seem logical.
Yeah, I think I would imagine that's definitely where they're going to be going.
Yeah.
Because so now you're if you have the Mavic 3 Advanced, you've got good thermal, you've got zoom, you've got the active track type stuff, and really good obstacle avoidance, which is great because those guys already have a full-time job. Right. They're already police. You don't need to be adding manual this, manual that.
Yep.
I think it could definitely kind of come down with the oops, bumped into a tree, bumped it into this,
right,
that kind of thing.
And I think that's going to be the major seller on the next one. If they do add that active track to the Mavic 3 Enterprise Advanced,
right,
that'll be great, because right now the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced doesn't have the smart features. So like the follow me and point of interest, all that stuff, they for whatever reason they didn't include.
I don't know if they don't put that into the that kind of stuff because the idea is that the people that are going to be using it are using it kind of ancillary to their main job.
That could be.
A roofer's.
But point of interest, you would think, would be a pretty helpful tool for a lot of people.
Yeah, and actually, if you've got great obstacle avoidance, it doesn't matter if it's going sideways and that kind of stuff. It's still going to be, it's still going to detect the trees, detect the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to delve into this a lot more. Like you said, we've only had this for 3 hours.
Right.
One of the hours was basically charging, and we're kind of reading through the manuals and that kind of stuff. But what we've seen, I mean, the image, again, going back to the map, I mean, this was a manually done map that I did,
Yeah, yeah.
and it looks pretty good. I mean, there's
It does.
clean edges and everything.
But what we need to mention is it does not have a mechanical shutter, correct? It has
It doesn't
and
look like.
neither of the cameras do. So
Yeah,
I think there were rumors that that was going to be the case, and the reason that's important is because that is the optimal sort of camera for mapping. So
Right, and I mean,
the
that's
FAM4 has it.
Yeah.
The new P1 for the Matrice has it.
Yeah.
But that's really it.
And still, I mean, out of all the drones to map, and again, the M300 with the P1, I mean, that I'm sure will be incredible. I mean, I'd love to see the L1 too, but it does a good job.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're getting close here. 17 minutes.
got
Let's see.
one.
Oh, there we go. Great work,
Jack
guys. I
Bonus.
own a drone company in Denmark. Denmark. Hey,
Hey.
thank you, Jack. And you guys
Thanks.
are a big inspiration. Our wives don't tell us that enough.
Kids either.
So yeah, I wish our kids would say that. But thank you so much. You think I should get this drone, or do you think I should keep my Mavic 2 Pro or sell my Mavic 2 Pro? Honestly, if it were me, I mean, now it's not true. I would probably go out and buy it because I'm an idiot. But I would say stick with the Mavic 2 Pro. I would bet you dollars to donuts that if you sat just about anybody down in front of a TV and showed them comparative video between the two, you wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
you're still talking about incredibly high resolution photos, videos. I know that micro Four Thirds sensor is really sexy and attractive.
Now, although with the Mavic 2 Pro, it had really nice cinematic video, but it wasn't the greatest for mapping.
Correct.
So this one might be
Better for map.
Yeah, and the other thing we talked about is that since the Mavic 2, what was it? The Mavic 2 Zoom.
Yeah.
There really hasn't been a Zoom that doesn't have thermal, and thermal is going to jack the price way up.
Yeah.
So this now is, well, I mean, I guess you still are pumping out $5,000 for the. So if you didn't get the $5,000 one is the remote and all that kind of stuff.
You get the smart controller, you get the raw photos, you get the.
So what is it with? So this one with the
Flymore pack?
the Flymore with the good remote. What's that?
You can't get it with the good remote. You can get the only one that comes with the smart controller is the cinema version. So the Flymore pack comes with the standard remote as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was an interesting move to me because that that smart controller is going to be pricey. So if you get that Flymore pack, you're looking at another $600, $700, $800, $900 for that smart controller is my guess.
Okay.
I mean, we don't know anything. We have no inside information on that, but now it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, it really depends. Going back to that question, it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if it's your only drone, then you're selling the Mavic 2, you're getting the Mavic 3. Yeah, it might be something. I mean, you kind of said no, I kind of said, maybe.
Josh, my honest answer to you would be go with the Mavic Air 2S. You're getting that 1-inch sensor still. It's
So he's asking how about for
real estate.
Real estate. And Josh, for real estate, I mean, I was in real estate too, and before, and they're not necessarily looking for raw photos at all.
Right.
They're looking for something that they can put on, a flyer, on a website, maybe a little bit of video.
And most of the realtors do it themselves at this point.
I did see somebody in my neighborhood. And it was an older lady, and she had a little Mavic, I think the first Mavic, and she popped it up and was like, I was like, that's great.
Yeah, it is great, but I think for most people, unless you're this incredibly talented person that has connections to really, really expensive houses, I think that making a full-time living with just real estate work for a drone operator is tough.
It might be, yeah. I mean, you definitely need to hook up with an actual, probably large, Coldwell Banker, office where you're providing it for multiple realtors and everything. I mean, I'm sure you could make. It's just getting. It seems like it's getting a little saturated in that market.
For sure. Joshua, I hope that answered your question, but I think still I would probably say you've already got the Mavic 2 Pro. Stick with it. That's a 1-inch
Yeah.
sensor. Stick with it.
If
That's what I would
if
do.
you're just doing real
Unless
estate,
there's a specific thing that this does that you're like, I have to have that.
yeah, and you're doing maybe real high end real estate where you're getting paid more for what you're doing, yeah. If not, probably stick with the Mavic.
That's good.
Too.
All right. Well, this is our shortest podcast that we've done so far, but not bad.
Yeah,
21 minutes.
yeah.
We answered a lot of people showed up. We appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. We appreciate all the videos and stuff. They come, people, we've got this small captive audience that is really interested in what we're doing, and we appreciate
Yeah, thank you.
everything you guys are doing. We appreciate you coming by and watching. We appreciate our wives who are behind the camera and making fun of us right now.
Yeah, they were
And
trying to make us laugh
they
the
were
whole
trying to
time.
make us laugh the
sorry if this
entire
was an
time.
awful one.
So that was bad. Hold on one second. We've got one more person. Jack Bo Nielsen says, "Have a great night, guys, and tell your wives to appreciate you more."
Here they are.
Oh, there they are. All right, everybody. Get in there a little further,
Yeah.
Nikki. We missed your face there. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.